used to think that I had to. I used to think it was my job. Somewhere I believed that loving God would be hard. But loving God is wonderful. Loving God is ecstasy. Thank God for my freedom. Oh Lord, the Spirit of God is upon me. Spirit of God is upon me. Oh, Spirit of God is upon me. Oh, Spirit of God is upon me. Oh, Spirit of God is upon me.
Don't need any prodding. I don't need any thought. I want to sing with all my heart. God is my all in all. Let go of my burden. Loving God has made me free. Blinded by the Spirit. Oh Lord, the Spirit of God is upon me.
Oh, the Spirit of God is upon me. It's upon me, oh, don't you know?
Spirit of God is upon me.
Upon me, oh, yes it is.
Spirit of God is upon me.
Upon me, oh, the Spirit of God is upon me. Oh, I thought it was my duty. I thought it was my job. Somewhere I believed that loving God would be hard, but loving God is wonderful. Loving God is ecstasy. Thank God for my freedom. Don't you know that the Spirit of God is upon me? Oh, the Spirit of God is upon me. It's upon me, oh. The Spirit of God is upon me. It's upon me, oh. Don't you know?
Spirit of God is upon me.
It's upon me, oh. The Spirit of God is upon me. Yes, it is, oh. The Spirit of God is upon. Let me hear ya. Oh, the Spirit of God is upon. It's upon me, oh. The Spirit of God is upon me. Don't you know? Yes, it is.
Spirit of God is upon me.
It's upon me, oh. The Spirit of God is upon me, oh. The Spirit of God is upon me, oh. The Spirit of God is upon me. Yes, it is, oh. The Spirit of God is upon me.
Oh, that was wonderful. Thank you for being the choir. It was great. Loved it. So I just have to, I have a plan. I do have a plan. I do have a plan. So what? Anyway, I was listening to that song, and it reminded me of one of the sweetest moments I've had in Egypt. It was the last time we took a big group. I used to take big groups. Now I take small groups. It's more intimate, and we have more time and sacred places to ourselves because we don't have to get people through. Yo, go through. I know it was holy. Get out of here. Anyway, make room for the next person. Get your buzz and go. But we had a big we'd meet in a big room, and we played this song. It was one of those places that had really great speakers, and it just blasted through everything. And we were playing this by Ricky Byers, and a man came up to me who was obviously Muslim, and he said, "That's the best song I've ever heard. Who sang it, and how can I have it?" See, the desire of the heart to touch something greater than ourselves is universal. When it goes beyond this religion or that religion. The call is the connection. And so I really honor that gentleman. And and that whole group, because obviously those 65 people were changing the room so that he could hear it in that way too. Isn't that interesting? So anyway, beyond all that, some of you are here and kind of newish, if not newish. That's like that guy from New York City said I'm Jewish. Anyway, but really you can be newish. And you might be wondering, what exactly is this place and how do you explain it? And that came up for me yesterday when I was at my barn where I keep one of my horses, and a woman kind of snuck over to me and she said, "Can I ask you a personal question?" And I immediately said yes. I should have said, "Well, ask me first." I mean, I do have boundaries, you know. How personal. "I hear you're a minister." Now, that's not exactly personal, but I love it. She sort of sneaks out. Have you noticed that when people want to talk about religion or politics, they kind of sneak at you sometimes? No, politics, they usually go like this. But anyways, religion, they kind of sneak out at you. And so she sort of sneaks around and she said, "I hear you're a minister." Now, no one else at the barn has said that to me. So obviously the gossip is going on. You know, she's a minister. "I hear you're a minister." Yes, I am. "And what kind of minister?" And so I know she's asking, like, you know, what denomination. I said, well, we're actually trans-denominational. It's not interdenominational, because that denomination is Christian denominations. And we're not quite that. So you might be asking, so what are we? And today you'll really wonder. For those of you that have previewed first service, you know what I mean. It's like, huh? So we are a faith community that teaches a synthesis, meaning putting it all together, of the discoveries of science, the opinions of philosophy, and the revelations of religion. Now, I'm really grateful we don't say the opinions of religion. It's like the revelation, what was revealed. And not revealed so much through a prophet, but what's revealed over and over and over again from the stories that are told, because stories are soul food. I'm really into stories. I'm a Joseph Smith devotee. If the story happens over and over and over again and it's told for thousands and millions, and probably not millions, who knows, thousands of years, it's got something to it that the soul wants to hear. For instance, Lion King. Where do you think Lion King came from? Think Shakespeare. You never took a Shakespeare class. Hamlet. But it's older than that. You know what it is? It's Horus taking revenge on Set for the killing of his father Osiris. Old story. Old, and maybe even older than that. Who knows? Wild, huh? Stories keep being retold because there's something in them. So we take all of that, applied to human needs and aspirations. Because otherwise, we're just talking about stuff. Well, yeah, and does it make a difference? Are people's lives improved because of this that you're presenting? I'm really a type A. I want proof. I really am. By their fruits ye shall know them. Are people's lives improving? So it's not, will people finally get a reward? No. How about now life is good? Because Jesus never said it was later. Never, 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 never said it was later. The kingdom of heaven is here and now. You're just not watching. You don't even see it. It lies before you. So, anyway, in modern terms, I would say that we take ancient wisdom for healing hurts and building dreams. So if somebody says, what do you do on Sundays? Oh, no, in Seattle, they never do. What am I saying? They never say that. Never mind. You tell them anyway. No, really, do you know that Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington are the most unchurched cities in the United States. More people go to church in Las Vegas. They know they've sinned. So nobody's going to say, what do you do on Sunday? It doesn't matter. But if somebody sneaks up on you and says, what do you believe? You might say, I believe that there is a way to take ancient wisdom for healing hurts and building dreams. Old stuff, old stuff. And we are not the middle, but we're into Hanukkah, so I want to take a moment to recognize and honor anyone who's of Jewish tradition, maybe real Jewish tradition. And just tell you one of my favorite things that I heard from a rabbi who was talking about Hanukkah. It's not my story to tell, but we can gather something from that story. See, stories are told, and you can get things from them. I'm not Hindu, and I'm going to tell you a minute part of a Hindu story today. But I'm not Hindu, but it doesn't mean I can't get something from it. You may not consider yourself Christian. It doesn't mean you can't get something from the teachings of Jesus. Whoa. I mean, really. There's, how many of you know that you throw the baby out with the bathwater by refusing to read old stuff? There's some good stuff in there, and I'm willing to find the nuggets and throw them at you. So, because I'm such a good person. Anyway, so Rabbi Ted was here speaking about Hanukkah. And this is the thing that so impressed me. And I don't know I know the story, blah, blah, blah. But this is what, I don't mean it that way. I know the story. I'm not going to tell you the story. But what I loved is he said, the miracle was not that the oil burned for 8 days. The miracle was that somebody knew they would reclaim the temple and hid the oil. Somebody had hope. Somebody had hope that even though they were real, for Jewish people, really going through a hard time, because the Greeks were taking over their holy place. And what they would call desecrating it. And someone had the hope that they would reclaim it. Man, that's powerful. And when hope shows up, it really is a miracle. Because so many people are not willing to believe that anything will change. And that's why things don't change much, by the way, brothers and sisters. Because we don't believe in change. We want change, we hope for change, and we know they should change. But we don't really allow ourselves to expand beyond what's happening to hope a greater hope. And that person, whoever hid the oil, hoped a greater hope. This month is about hope, promises, and miracles. And hope is so important. It is the light at the end of the tunnel. And I love that metaphor. My soul loves the story in a metaphor. Jesus knew that. He told stories, little parables, because you know what? The ineffable is hard to explain. The kingdom of heaven is impossible. You can't just give 5 words and explain the kingdom of heaven. The realm of I can is actually a better definition from the Aramaic. The realm of I can. And to a bunch of people who didn't believe they could, do you see how wild that was? So light. Light at the end of the tunnel. How many of you have been in tunnels? And how many of you, when you saw the light, you took a breath and you knew you could walk? See, we don't have to explain. You don't have to explain what you were going through. I don't have to explain that I was going through a physical thing. I don't have to explain that I was going through a divorce. I don't have to explain that I was going through another breakup. We all have tunnels. The shape and the length of the tunnel is all individual. But that light, that's universal. And not only do I want to have a light at the end of the tunnel for myself, because I'm pretty much in the light myself, but I look out at the world and I'm somewhat chagrined. But I see a light because God still exists. I see a light for generations to come, much, way beyond me. I think the people that we love the most, that we revere the most, saw light, if not for themselves, for the world. And they don't even know how it's going to show up. To get to the end, the hope is the light. To get through to that light is going to take some faith. But faith in the impossible can be tricky. Like, I've got hopes and it looks impossible. So that's when I turn to promises. Promises. This is today. Last week was hope, today's promise. Promise, promise, promises. I have a little book of promises. I love old books. To me, they're like kitties. You just hold them on your lap and they do things to you. No, really. Look at this well-loved book. I got a used book and somebody loved this and actually did all the underlining for me. It was wonderful. I mean, look how much they loved it. And it's called A Runner's Bible. They took out all the bad stuff, just gave you the good stuff so you can run through it really quickly. And there's a whole chapter on promises. Be of good cheer, your sins will be forgiven. I will help you. I'm going to heal you. You're going to have power. You're going to be guided. You're going to never walk alone. All things are yours. Peace, you're going to have peace. You're going to be happy. And this is a wonderful one. And the Lord will light thy way in the darkness. I'm not talking about those. Because I actually found the book so I could talk about these. I thought, well, that's just way too complicated. Let's just get down to it, because I only have a certain amount of time, because I know that we are now conditioned by 60-minute programs, and I can only have your attention for about 60 minutes, and then I have to do like a little commercial and come back. So here it is. I went for one promise that is universal. Back to those revelations of religion. What promise has been revealed over and over and over again? And the promise that has been revealed over and over and over again is that ask believing and it will be given. Ask believing and it will be given. It shows up. I don't know too much about Sikhism or Jainism, but I know that it's in other things. I even have a book anyway, it was a businessman who wrote a book based on Tibetan Buddhism and how to claim things within your soul. Remember that series? That was a good series, wasn't it? Yeah. But some of you are used to, grew up in a Judeo-Christian church, so you may have heard ask believing and it will be given. What's the catchword in there? Yeah, darn it. There has to always be a loophole. It's not ask hoping. It's not ask wanting. It's ask believing. Ask believing. And most people believe what they already see They believe what they already have experienced. They believe what they've already come up with. They believe what they've been thinking about for a long time. So they'll always get what they believe in, not what they're asking for. Now, this is what I love. Algebra. If seeing equals believing, believing equals seeing. Isn't that great? So if you change your belief, you're going to start to see it. And this is told in ancient wisdom, ancient stories. Once again, stories. I love stories. So let's take a story. Let's take Abraham. Abraham had been faithful and blah-de-blah. What I mean is condense that story. Abraham had been faithful. And God said, I'm going to give you a reward. I'm going to give you land for it. Because at that time, land was wealth. And so he took him to the top of a hill and he said, you will have for you and your descendants as far as you can see. Well, at the top of the hill, you might be able to see another hill. At the top of the hill, you can see a ways. How many of you have been to the top of the hills? And you go, wow, that's really far. No, you're about 20 miles. Maybe 30 miles. It's not that big a deal. And the hills, I was there. There's not those big mountains. You're not at the top of Rainier. They're mole hills. I saw them, like big whoop. It's not that far. So what he was actually saying, what was actually being taught is, what can you imagine? What can you see in your mind? That will be yours. See, often we want something, but we still see the past. We want something, but we still see the obstacles. We want something, but we still see the hindrance. We want something, but we still see how those people aren't cooperating. That's what we see. And therefore, that's what we continue to believe. And guess what? That's what we'll continue to get. So to change that, ooh, baby, that's important. To let your heart speak, not your mind. To breathe into your heart and let your heart lead you into a future that you would want to live in and that you would want the future generations to live in. Plus, I love the story of Jacob. This was the story of the first treasure map. People think that treasure maps are like new. No, it's old. It's so old. It's old technology. It's like dusty. It's not a new thing. I'm not saying don't use it, but don't think like, oh, somebody invented a treasure map. No, Jacob, or whoever wrote about Jacob. So here's what happened. Jacob fell in love, and he's got 2 wives. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But he's got a scoundrel of a father-in-law who he's worked for years, and finally says, I need to leave this place, and I need to take my wives and my concubine and their servants, and we need to leave, and I want my dowry. And the scoundrel of a father-in-law says, oh, of course. So next spring, when the goats are born, you can have all the spotted goats. Except all the goats are one color. Now, animal husbandry says solid goats produce solid goats. So what Jacob did is he put sticks and with colors, different colors on them. Like I'm not sure if they were spotted sticks off of a spotted tree, like maybe what's that one with the spots on it? Birch. I'm not sure if it was a birch tree or he cut into the bark so that there was different colored sticks all around the pond that the goats would go to water. So every time he saw the goats watering, he'd also see these spotted sticks. So he saw spots. Guess what happened in the spring? Spotted goats. And he took the herd with him. What? Do you see that he didn't succumb to what had been? He recreated what he saw so that he could believe in what he saw, so that he could have what he asked God for. Old technology. Old. Judge Thomas Troward says that the divine operation is always for expansion and fuller expression. I mean, I'm not sure that at the beginning of the 20th century that he actually understood that the universe was expanding at a rapid rate. But somehow he knew intuitively that the universe is expanding at a rapid rate. And I'm sure that he knew about the fuller expression because he studied nature. He said there's only two things that inform me. One is the Bible and one is nature. And nature is expressive. And if you think about there's a certain number of elements, and out of those elements comes everything that is created, whether it's, animals or plants, and all of those different species of animals and plants, and every species is different, and we're all different, and there's nothing that's the same as like, that's some expression. No cookie cutter anything. And then he goes on to say that it's my nature as well. So if you think you're stuck, we're not living our nature. Our nature is to expand beyond stuck. Our nature is to expand beyond what is. Our nature is to expand beyond what the history is and what the story is and who they are or whatever you're up against. So I would love for you to just kind of imagine wherever you have a problem that you're being asked to put a visualization of breakthrough around that problem. Openings. See openings. See something happening there. That if it happened, there wouldn't be a problem. So let's get back to asking, because it's still important to ask. It's important to ask. I'm going to use a story from the Ramayana. It used to be, I'd say, for the first 15 years of my ministry. In fact, actually, after I met a wonderful man named Bo Lazoff, I read the Ramayana every year. And every year I got something out of it because it's not my story. See, if it's not your story, you're free to get the goods. Like, what's it say to you? It's fun. I mean, I can get so stuck in the Christian story because I was born, well, I wasn't born Christian. I mean, I was born to a bunch of agnostics. And then I wanted to know about God, and they were like, Anyway. But sometimes I read the Bible and I want to say, well, that can't be true. It's like, who cares if it's true? It's real. Get the difference? It may not be a fact, but there's something real in a story that can feed your soul. So I read the Ramayana and I go, whoa, 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 food. Love it. So let's take this king, who I can't pronounce his last name. He's been ruling for thousands of years. He's got a beautiful city, a beautiful territory, beautiful people. They live in peace. Nobody's giving him any trouble at all. And after thousands and thousands of years, because that was in the age when they lived for thousands and thousands of years, it occurs to him that he does have a heart's desire, and that's to have a son. Now, he might have a lot of daughters, but we don't talk about it. Anyway, he wants a son. So he finally says, I'm going to ask for a son. So he goes to the priest, and he's going to ask for the son, and the priest says, oh, yes, I will pray for you, and we'll burn some oil, whatever, grease, something. Throw it on the fire. By the way, you can ask for a prayer practitioner to pray with you today, and no wood will be harmed. So, thank you for getting that joke. So here's the deal. Thousands of years, perfectly happy. How many of you are perfectly happy? A few of you. I'm perfectly happy. But there are a few things that I would like. I want to have winning season with my horse. I've had some goods and I've had some bads. I want a winning season. That's all I want. Dear God, I don't need a new car. I don't need nothing. I don't need new clothes. A couple of cheap trinkets from Egypt and I'm good. But he finally listens to his heart. I want a son. He asks. That's important. It got me going that no matter how our life is, if we check inside, there might be something more. And I've worked with people who are so spiritual, so beautiful, so wonderful, so giving, so worshipful, and they don't ask. They're going through things and they don't ask. They're going through little things and they don't ask. They're going through big things and they don't ask. Asking works. Actually, it worked in so many beautiful ways because of his ask, a story of love and honor and salvation unfolded that is epic. That ask. And what it reminds me of, because I'm still feeding on this whole thing, and this is what I got last night, when we claim our good, we open up ways for more good to happen in ways we'll never know. Because that king died and never knew what it was that he instigated and created a domino effect that would save so many people. God's idea of good is so much greater than yours. But claim it. Claim it. So I want to ask you, what's deep inside your heart? Because, otherwise I'm just giving you a philosophy. But since I am a science of mind minister, I have to ask, how can this service help heal a hurt or build a dream? What is it that your heart asks for, longs for? It could start a whole new lovely story of love, honor, and salvation that goes way beyond you. Especially when you're longing for something such as a better world for everybody. I mean, I think that that's really the next spiritual evolution for us, is to realize that we are so connected, and what we do with our time and our space and our worship affects so many people. There's a whole thing that was happening in the last decade, or maybe 15 years, I'm not sure, where people were putting a lot of attention on the law of attraction. And yeah, you can get stuff. And while that's true, it can also feed the ego to the place where you forget that you live in a collective. There's a more ancient law, and that is that what you give out, what you pray about, what you do in service and in contribution comes back to you, pressed down, multiplied, and running over. That's a more ancient law, or just as ancient. And then it benefits not just you, but a whole bunch of other people. So the good multiplies. So I invite you to pray. I don't know what I want to pray for. I want to pray for a world where there's no conflict. And it's not because people are squished and told not to be upset. That's not peace. I would love to have a world where there's caring and cooperation, consideration, compromise. What an idea. Now, this is why I led you here. I don't see it. I seldom see it. I don't see it in our history, our human history. Now, I know there's been pockets of groups that live that way. Tribes, usually indigenous, close to the earth. But for what we call, civilization, it's usually conquer or be conquered. And so that's what I see. But you know what? God says, put some twigs around the pond of your life, girlfriend. And see people cooperating everywhere. See cooperation breaking out. And it may not happen in my lifetime. But it's not for my lifetime that I'm praying this. I'm praying it for humanity. You know, when Martin Luther King gave his beautiful speech, I don't think he thought, in fact, I'm pretty sure the way he says it, I think he knew he would never see what he wanted to see. But what he saw is he saw a future for us. So you ready to pray? You ready to see the world you want to live in? Great. So here we go. Let's take a deep breath. And I lift mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my salvation and the salvation of humanity from our own foibles, our own mistakes, our shortcomings. And I am so grateful that right here and right now, I am open to hearing the angels sing. Peace on earth and goodwill towards all people. And I am willing to see peace break out and cooperation become the norm. And I will keep my eyes, my spiritual consciousness on what is possible. And in just so doing, I am open to the inspiration of God for heaven on earth, that I may see it, believe it, ask for it, claim it, and know it. And for all who are in agreement with that, who can allow themselves to see beyond the hill of what we are currently experiencing and let our imagination go into that which is still unformed. The future is still unformed. Let us declare peace on earth. Let us declare peace on earth. Goodwill to all, not just humans, but all animals and the planet itself. Let us see that people are waking up to our interconnection, our inner responsibility for not just our family and our friends, but for everyone. We are responsible for the goodwill on earth. And we are responding in love. Oh, yay, praise God and hallelujah. And this, I pray, both night and day. And I invite all of you who are willing to see this future, the future where cooperation is the norm, where compromise is the order of the day. Simply within your heart of hearts, join me in knowing that this is a possibility, therefore possible. Therefore, we will put our faith within it and let hope reign. And you join me by simply within your heart of hearts saying, and so it is.